So here is the story with Nancy Pelosi. So I'm assuming that people know the story, but the story is that she visited a San Francisco hair salon in person in defiance of local coronavirus restrictions. And then when she was caught on tape doing this, she then turned around and accused the business of setting her up. She accused the business of setting her up. I wasn't expecting the Marion Barry type full on, I've been set up when I was found with a briefcase full of cocaine in my room. But this is pretty stellar stuff. So Nancy Pelosi, her net worth is, I believe, $300 million, something like that. Her husband is extraordinarily wealthy. And Nancy Pelosi is also the lady who was spotted on late night TV in the middle of a pandemic standing in front of a sub-zero $20,000 fridge eating custom-made gelato. But she's a woman of the people, right? She cares deeply about the people, does Nancy Pelosi. So finally, she was asked about this yesterday. And her initial response was not, yes, I'm a hypocrite. I understand a lot of businesses are suffering. I shouldn't have done that. You know, my better sense was overcome. Instead, she went after the business. She said that she takes responsibility for being set up. Being set up. So Mary Antoinette has hired legal counsel. We'll get to that in a second. She actually hired a lawyer to put out a letter explaining that the business owner set her up. Here is Nancy Pelosi claiming that she was the victim of a setup when she scheduled an appointment at a hair salon in defiance of local coronavirus restrictions. Again, everyone in California knows about these restrictions. The notion that Nancy Pelosi is ignorant of the restrictions is patently crazy. I mean, really, really nuts. Everybody in California knows about this because everything's closed. You can drive down the street and you can see that everything is closed. Okay, and if you don't know the local restrictions, then what you typically tend to do is call up the business owner and ask what the local restrictions are, not what they are doing, what the local restrictions are. And if you are one of the lawmakers who is the most pro-lockdown lawmakers in the United States, you would assume that at some point you might ask, oh, what are the local restrictions? She knows what they are. She just doesn't care because she's an important person. She's a VIP. All animals are created equal, but some animals are more equal than others. And Nancy Pelosi, teeth a-clackin', is the most equal of all. So here's Nancy Pelosi explaining that she was set up. I can't believe they set me up, says Nancy Pelosi.
I take responsibility for trusting the word of a neighborhood salon that I've been to over the years many times, and that when they said, well, we're able to accommodate people one person at a time, and that we can set up that time, I trusted that. As it turns out, it was a setup. So I take responsibility for falling for a setup. I think that that this salon owes me an apology.
The salon owes her an apology. She takes responsibility for falling for a setup. It was a sting operation to get Nancy Pelosi. Now, it seems to me that as the Speaker of the House, she should probably know the local ordinances with regard to whether she's allowed to go to the local salon even by herself, considering they are all closed in the city of San Francisco, and that we've seen tents popping out on the sidewalks everywhere in California where people are getting their hair done outside. But now she's going to blame the business. The business owner, a woman named Erica Kies, she's the owner of E-Salon. She blasted Pelosi on Fox News. She said it was a slap in the face. She went in, that she feels she can just go and get her stuff done while no one else can go in, and I can't work. We're supposed to look up to this woman, right? It's just disturbing. So she appeared, did Erica Kies, on Tucker Carlson's show last night, and she said, well, no, I mean, this was not a setup. She's been coming in for quite a while, and she set up the appointment herself, or her assistant did, so I'm not sure how this is a setup exactly.
She's been coming in for quite a while, and just to see her come in, and especially not wearing the mask, that's what really got to me. But, yes, this isn't even political. I mean, she's been coming in there. It's the fact that she actually came in and didn't have a mask on. And I just thought about, my staff and people not being able to work and make money and provide for their families. And if she's in there comfortably without a mask and feeling safe, then why are we shut down? Why am I not able to have clients come in?
So Nancy Pelosi responds to this by sicking her lawyers on the salon, because she is not only an elitist to whom the rules don't apply, she also can afford very expensive lawyers to go after local business owners whose businesses are shut down. And the lawyer letter is so incredible, because the lawyer letter basically says, look at this terrible businesswoman who behind closed doors has been doing business, which Nancy Pelosi was taking advantage of. Okay, I mean, that's wild and kind of hilarious. Pelosi's spokesperson, by the way, denied the original allegations. She told Fox News, Drew Hamill, her spokesman, told Fox News, quote, the speaker always wears a mask and complies with local COVID requirements. Wrongo. But Hamill then continued, this business offered for the speaker to come in on Monday and told her they were allowed by the city to have one customer at a time in the business. The speaker complied with the rules as presented to her by this establishment. So, yeah, not too much. Not too much. Okay, so Nancy Pelosi has responded to this not just by claiming she was set up, but then she hired an attorney to write a letter to the Salon threatening to sue. And so here is the letter from Matthew Solomonpour, Esquire. This office represents the interests of Jonathan DiNardo, a California certified cosmetologist based out of San Francisco, California. In response to press inquiries on the matter, then Mr. DiNardo can confirm that he did indeed provide professional stylist services to House Speaker Nancy Pelosi on August 31st, 2020, at the E-Salon, located at 2288 Union Street in San Francisco, California. Mr. DiNardo at all times took all requisite safety measures throughout his appointment with Speaker Pelosi, including sanitation of all service areas and wearing of CDC-recommended protective equipment. Mr. DiNardo has worked at E-Salon for approximately 6 years and regularly communicates with the salon owner, Erica Kies. In fact, Mr. DiNardo received advance approval from Ms. Kies the day prior to the appointment during a telephone discussion on August 29th, 2020 at 9:26 p.m., wherein Mr. DiNardo advised Ms. Kies he would not proceed with Speaker Pelosi's appointment without Mr. Kies' authorization. Ms. Kies took special interest in the appointment during the telephone call, wherein she made several vitriolic and incendiary comments about Speaker Pelosi and her purported responsibility for temporarily suspending operations of Ms. Kies' business, despite such orders actually being put into place not by Pelosi, but by Governor Gavin Newsom and San Francisco Mayor London Breed. Ultimately, Kies authorized DiNardo to proceed with Speaker Pelosi's appointment. This office is in possession of photographs, videos, and witness information that Ms. Kies, contrary to her prior statements to the press, has actually been operating her business during the stay-at-home orders and similar executive orders limiting in-store operations since as far back as April 2020. Okay, so now it is not only that Pelosi is suggesting that Kies said she could come in, and then Kies taped her and released the tape, which, by the way, is still not a sting operation because there's an obligation for Pelosi not to violate the law. Even if somebody says to you, you can come into my gym or my hair salon, it's totally full. We're operating at full capacity. It is your responsibility not to violate the law, Speaker Pelosi. That's not how any of this works. You don't get to simply say, well, the business said it was okay, so it's probably okay. That is not how this works, especially not if you're Speaker of the House. Ignorance is not an excuse. By the way, she's not ignorant about any of this. But beyond that, she is now attempting to destroy the business of this person. Why? Well, she's going to now say, well, she was violating the orders all along. Okay, so here's the question. If your case is that she was violating the orders all along, then which is that bad or is that okay? Because you are also violating the orders. So either it was bad, in which case you are bad, or it was fine, in which case you should relieve the lockdowns in the first place. But instead, they're going to try and get Kies cited for violations by the local city government in response to Nancy Pelosi being complicit in the violations. According to this lawyer, again, the fact that Kies is now objecting to Speaker Pelosi's presence at the E-Salon from a simple surface-level review of Ms. Kies' political leanings, it appears Ms. Kies is furthering a setup of Speaker Pelosi for her own vain aspirations. Oh, yes. When I think of vanity aspirations, I think of a local salon owner trying to keep her business owner. I don't think of the highly Botoxed, gelato-eating, Sub-Zero standing in front of hair-dry Speaker of the House who has to appear on MSNBC that night because the rules don't apply to people like Nancy Pelosi. Thank you for tuning in to The Daily Wire, one of the fastest growing conservative media outlets in the country. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss out on any of our content.